Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Longbangers Thursday phone-in in association with Lee Spirits. This is a special occasion. It's our second attempt at getting the live stream to work, so that's one reason to celebrate. It does appear to be working this time, but it's also our fifth birthday, so 5 years to the day since episode number one went out, which was just me talking into my phone. And Tracy, you got your hand up?
Is it recording as
Yeah,
well?
yeah. We're
Oh, all right,
recording
it
on the
just never
members.
came up
No,
saying
no,
it was
I
recording,
remember.
so I just wanted to double check in case it went through the whole thing.
Thanks, thanks for the reminder. Well, it says it's recording. It says
I
it's
think after
recording. So,
5 years, you'd have got this sorted by now.
I know. Well, the funny thing is, right, so we used this. I say funny. This isn't funny at all. This is typical of sort of rambles that we're going. Um, we used to use an app called Anchor, which is now Spotify podcasters, and literally held my phone like this and talked for. I think it was only about 15 minutes or something like this, um, about Ron Gordon taking over Hibs. Pretty much that was what the first episode was about. It was shite, really, really shite. And I posted it on Hibsnet, and I think Brian, who's pedantic Hibby on Hibsnet, had offered to come and help out. So well, I think on episode three is there was two of us on it, and then it sort of grew from there. And eventually Brian couldn't do it any longer. Craig, who helped out for a wee while, couldn't do it because he was away working on submarines somewhere in like top secret locations. So then we ended up with John and Colin. John won a competition to come on. That's how he ended up on. He won a competition on Twitter when we were um, first starting out. We were just obviously trying to grow your Twitter audience. So we'd done one of these retweet and follow, and obviously we had no budget. So it was like the prize was free. He could come on and talk shite about Hibs with us. And John won it, and he was quite good at it. And then it turned out we worked in the same building. So we went out for a coffee, and then John became a permanent fixture, although he's got the night off the night. And I think that's because I forgot to share the Zoom details in our group chat earlier on. Now that I'm thinking about it, Colin's away on holiday, and I think I've just assumed John's not going to want to do this. Anyway, right, that's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about the Hibs. Tracy, you were first on, so you got the floor first tonight. How are you feeling about all things Hibs right now?
Oh, great. We all know what the group stages have been like previously. Sometimes they're not taken seriously by certain people,
Yeah.
naming no names. And sometimes we've obviously on paper we should be beating teams that aren't in our league. But we haven't always looked like the Premier side.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel the last two games we have looked like the Premiership side. And we could hardly buy a goal last season, and now we've got 10 goals in two games, and it's just crazy. And I obviously jinxed the goal on Tuesday night. So somebody tried to make me feel better by saying it was the ref's fault, so I might just go with that. But
I think loads of folk jinxed there. Like we were all talking about the clean sheet before it actually happened. So you could probably take a wee bit of the blame off, just a wee bit. Like no, all of it, Tracy. You're still going to have to take some responsibility, but no, all of it. Like
I
we
know.
could most of us shoulder a bit of it for jinxing. What do you think has been different this League Cup campaign to previous ones where it has gone wrong?
Dave.
Uh-huh.
The man I wanted. I just think he's got a lot. The players, like even we said last week, like the training camp, everybody looks like they want to be here. Everybody's smiling. Boyle are smiling, which is like great to see because obviously he's had a really tough time the last couple of years with injuries and things, and I think it's probably affected him quite badly. But he seems to be really happy around the place. I think that's down to Dave as well. I just think they've got the respect for Dave. They want to play for Dave. I think he's probably gone back to basics. We've had a lot of managers that have come in, and obviously because we've had all the changes and we're all coming in and they're trying to do something a bit different, rather than just doing the basics. And I think the lads have had too many different, instructions. They've probably been overcoached. And I think Dave's stripped all that back, and we're actually just it seems to be working.
Aye. Well, it's funny because I'll not name them, but I was speaking to a player yesterday, and we're talking obviously about Tuesday night's performance and how much different it had been for last season. And I'd said it looked like the team were playing with the shackles off. and they said, absolutely, that's what it is. He said last season, especially when we were attacking, it was like we had to be robots and be in.
Mhm.
You were getting the ball and thinking about where you had to pass it or where your position should be, rather than just doing the sort of the instinctive thing and playing football. So they think they were really happy about the change, but they made the points like to win games of football in Scotland, it's no rocket science. You just have to get the ball
Exactly.
forward quickly, work hard, use the pace that we've got. That's what they pointed out. So you got Boyle there who terrifies
know.
defences, and last season we just totally underused them. So I thought it was really
Yeah.
interesting. I
I
think to
think
get
that's
that
football all
perspective on
over
it.
right now.
Mhm.
Well, it is kind of robotic. I mean, even the Euros tournament as well kind of fell flat. You know, football's just should be as it is the last couple of games.
Aye, it should
You
be
know,
it should be fun. Yeah, like I
uh-huh.
thought that on Tuesday night was the first game that I've been at in person for ages where I didn't think my phone was out my pocket for the 90 minutes. Like I just stayed there. I wasn't bothered about. Well, actually, I text Jane and Josh score updates. So I did literally take the phone out a couple of times, but that was it. It was just to sort of say we'd scored.
Yeah.
Last season, I would be sitting in my seat, kind of one eye on the football and one eye seeing what was going on Twitter and what everybody was moaning about the football. Do you know that was like the difference is it's nice to kind of just go back and enjoy the football. Who stood out for you, Tracy, over the course of the two games? So across Elgin and Queen's Park on Tuesday.
Well, obviously Rudi. I think he's been fantastic, and it's great to see him getting his chance. And the fact that he got the goal as well on Tuesday night was just brilliant. He's a really lovely lad. Yeah, I think he comes across really well in his interviews as well. So whoever's doing the social media doing the media training's doing a good job. But yeah, I was really chuffed for him. Josh Campbell as well. You know, he's had a lot of stick. I've sat next to his parents and folk shouting things, and I'm like, actually, how can you sit there? And they're like, well, just let it brush over. But I was like, oh my God, there'd be folk murdered if that was my child. I'd be like the mum raging. But yeah, just you know, I think he's going to be really key player for us this season. Because I think Dave will get the best out of him. And obviously it was good to see Boiler smiling and scoring. And I thought Ellie looked good when he came on as well. That would have been a worldly goal if that had gone in. And again, another one who gets a lot of stick. But I do think Joe's the right captain for us as well, and I think he'll steady the ship too. So
what do you think of that? One of the things that stood out for me, Tracy, was like the attitude for the team across the two games. Like it would be very easy, and you saw Motherwell drew with Montrose, I think. Dunfermline got beat for Forfar 2-0.
yeah.
So these results can happen at this time of year. Never ever looked over the two games that we were going to slip up. Why do you think that is? I think that purely comes down to the attitude of the players and them thinking, we've got to make an impression for the new manager.
Yeah, I think attitude. I think obviously we've heard it from Malky as well. You know, the way that he's trying to change the environment and the culture at HTC. So I think that's had a lot to play with. I think people are going in happy, looking forward to going into the training centre. And that all makes a difference, because if you start off with those small things, then everything else just kind of comes with it. And you can see there's a real difference. And I do think the club have made all the right moves within the football department to get good football and people in as well. So it can only get better.
And some player movement this week. We had Ewan Henderson and Jojo Walcott exit, and Jordan Smith come in. His goalkeeper signed today. Any thoughts on those moves, Tracy?
Yeah, no, it didn't really work out for Jojo. You know, wasn't really getting a chance, and when he did, I think confidence was low anyway. But I was just looking at the comments. Somebody had asked for Crawley, what's he like? And the comments were just bang out order. I'm just thinking, this is a lad you haven't really seen a lot of. You could have just said, look, he's not had a lot of game time, so we haven't really seen a lot of him. End it there. You know, I mean, there's just no need, I think, for the rest of it. You know, I think
Aye.
he's, you know, you want people, okay, the football's not always going to be good for everybody. Some people aren't going to get their chance, but that's just the way it is, because sometimes you become a squad player. But you kind of want them to leave, and everybody's saying, well, you know, thanks for everything and we wish you well.
Aye, I think that's the point about him is not having like a very big sample size to tell one way or other if he was, you know, good, bad, or indifferent. I think
Yeah.
it's my own view is a wee bit unfair to slaughter the guy going, you know, going to a new club based on what we saw, which wasn't really very much, to be honest.
I know. I do like his new haircut though. I thought he was looking really good with the new haircut as well. Because at first on the training camp I was like, who's the new goalie?
As everyone kind of been away for an interview. You've been away for an interview. Look at your haircut for it. Aye. Thanks. It's a good bring in Ian next. Ian, what have you got for us tonight? I'm almost frightened to ask.
No, as Tracy said, actually, the difference is David Gray. I mean, people actually thought we might struggle against Queen's Park, and we just blew them away. So if we're actually doing exactly what David Gray said we would do. As soon as we lose the ball, everyone is closing down. And you saw that against both Elgin and Queen's Park. There was 3 people closing some poor punter down, who's obviously a part-time player, you know. It was great. I thought with Colin's point on with Marvin on the BBC Hibs podcast was quite a good one. And it was quite interesting that Marvin made the point about the fact that we've still got too many players. And Marvin said that there was a brilliant example of somebody who's actually obviously been in that position, because he said having 30 players at training just doesn't work, because 10 of them know that they're not going to be playing on Saturdays, so the motivation drops. And that was really fascinating to hear. Well, Colin being miserable, but which is actually quite refreshing. Actually, Colin being miserable, but also the fact that Marvin was speaking from experience. I thought it was great. So I didn't have a chance to look it up, but I'm sure that Josh Campbell's assists must be up there now, because that is the thing that stood out for me. Is that the way that Josh is capable both of scoring and of doing amazing through balls and things. Kanaya Megla's been, I think, it's been great when he's come in. He's been terrific. I thought it was quite interesting in the post Queen's Park interview that David Gray said Dylan Renty, he'd hoped he would have taken these chances against Queen's Park, and it's quite interesting after obviously his hat trick at Elgin, but you know. I wonder if it's maybe the beginning of impatience with Dylan, because you know, he should have certainly scored with the straightforward header. I thought Luke Amos, I was really keen on him, but the trouble is, I think when he's coming on, he's trying too hard. He's trying too hard, and he's showing he's wanting the ball, but I think he's maybe not got the skill level required yet. So maybe it's still a chance to get him out on loan, but because I really think he's a great player there, because obviously what happens is that Dylan Levitt comes on, he seems to make a difference right away. Obviously wasn't the case last year, but it was funny what Tracy was saying about Ellie, because Ellie looked like Ellie when he came on, but he didn't look happy and he didn't look part of the team. And I wonder if he was actually happy to get taken off at the end there. And just thinking about that goal, unfortunately, when Rocky came on, we actually looked weaker. And I'm a massive fan of Rocky and I love him, but we looked weaker as soon as Rocky came on. And the thing I wanted to mention specifically was in Elgin. I heard from my colleagues on the 2016 bus that there was trouble from suspected Aberdeen soccer casuals who'd taken the day off and gone to Elgin. And I believe the level of violence actually extended to throwing chips. So I've not actually heard any police reports about that yet, but seemingly there was actually people who were trying to wind up our guys. You know, but I'm enjoying it just now. Unfortunately, I go on holiday on the 3rd of August for 3 weeks, but I've really been enjoying the football so far.
And will you be making it to Kelty on Saturday?
I will be. I'll be going to Kelty and I'll be going to Peterhead. Yeah.
I always forgot about the Peterhead game. It's like the kind of get as far as Kelty, and then I'm thinking of the league season. But of course, we've got Peterhead to play as well. I mean, I don't suppose it's something we should necessarily be looking for, but are there any downsides for you over the two games? You seen anything that you've not liked especially?
Um, only individuals. Most of the players, when they've come on, have actually performed very, very well. I would like to have seen no one get on. I would like to see no one kind of get on. Obviously, there was a couple of weaknesses when Big Marvin, when he and obviously we don't have a song for Egg Potato yet, even although I heard your attempts at the potato one. But we don't have a song for Egg Potato. That's the downside. But I just think he made one daft mistake. I think I can't remember if it was against Elgin or Queen's Park, but he made one daft mistake. But in general, he's looked really good, and I think the great thing from Marvin's viewpoint was getting that goal at Elgin. So I don't see any downsides yet, apart from a couple of players who just look a bit weaker.
It's good if that's all we've got. Like a couple of really sort of nitpicking things, and they're neither here nor there, really.
That's right.
In terms of the difference that David Gray's made, then Ian, has he met expectations or exceeded them for you?
I think he's so far, because of the level of team we've been playing against, I think he's met expectations. I think if he does what everybody talks about us doing, which is to actually, I think what Colin was saying on the BBC podcast, Colin was saying, we should be, and Marvin was saying as well, we should be winning the games that we didn't win last season, etc. And Colin was again going on about the draws. I think Colin I think said on that he was expecting us to be fifth this season. Sorry. I think we should be competing in every game we play in. But I think we should be getting close to Rangers and Celtic in individual games I'm talking about. I think we should go there and they should come to us knowing they're going to get a really good game. And that is how I think I'll judge David if we don't just lay down to them.
Yeah.
But I think I'm very, very pleased with David so far.
Good stuff. I should point out Colin recorded that podcast a couple of weeks back.
He's not. No, he's not on holiday at all. No, he's lying to you.
He did. He recorded because I was going to do it, but I had to work, so I was like, Colin, jump on this one instead. So Colin did it. We didn't know who we were going to sign. I think we maybe had signed the centre halves by then and the goalie. That's right. They told him like just kind of don't reference any players in case anybody leaves or comes in. So we hadn't had any wins either, or really seen any of the friendlies either. True, so although Colin sounded quite depressed for quite a lot of the podcast, that's why. It's because we were still in that sort of post last season malaise with everything, and we had the optimism that's been brought about by a couple of good wins.
Yeah, they made a mistake. The presenter made a mistake of asking Colin to relive last season. You're absolutely right, Matty. That explains it. Thank you.
Hi, that's why. Just to be fair to Colin, because I listened this morning. I got in the car. I was like, I wonder what he said, and I was like, oh, it does sound miserable. And I was like, that's because it was recorded before we'd won anything. Maxine, James, I'll bring you in next. How are you feeling about everything now?
I'm really positive. Tracy and Ian have covered all the players, so that kind of rules out picking on any players. One of the points
you can repeat things. It's fine. We've got time.
One of the things you mentioned about the players being unshackled, I can't remember if it was yourselves that mentioned it or quoted a manager. It says a lot of the bigger teams don't need to be coached going forward. They free them up. They know how to attack. It's the defending is where the work gets put in, and that seems to be what seems to be being echoed now, and it's visible on the pitch. I mean, we finished the game on Tuesday with no strikers on the park, but we still scored 2 goals from it. And I'm loving Josh Campbell dropping deep, assisting. The through ball he played for Molotnikov's goal was a peach. The one-touch layoff for Boyle was nice.
Yes. And
the through ball for Boyle on Saturday as well was just perfect. Just run onto it and put it away. I mean, where's that been? And it's like you say, the shackles are off. The boys enjoying it again. And it's just good to watch. It's nice hearing the positives. There's still a few in the crowd when Rocky came on. I was like, oh, there's Rocky. This was shit. But I enjoyed Rocky. I mean, yeah, we did look weak in defence, but there's one through ball he played down the left for a beater. It was bang on. It was at full pelt and just played it in behind. And he always tries it. Doesn't always come off.
Yeah.
More often than not. But he is. I do like the way he kind of brings the ball forward. That was my criticism of Fish last year. Great defending, but see when he was asked to kind of bring the ball out, it wasn't his strong point. Rocky tried it. He seems to be more confident going on the front foot. But yeah, there was that obvious wee bit more slackness at the back. Because as soon as he was on, I think the kiddie up front for Queen's Park had a shot on goal. He just peeled off and had a shot. It was from the edge of the box. It wasn't any danger, but it was the first time he had a bit of space the whole game. But it's been hypercritical. I mean, like Ian said, I love Rocky. I'm a Rocky fan. He reminds me of Big Effie Ambrose. There's mistakes in there, but he's a player you like to watch. He's a defender that brings the ball out and he'll try the pass. And if it comes off, it looks good. Unfortunately, if it doesn't, it's like any kind of dangerous pass, it looks duff.
Yeah.
But I think Josh Campbell, for me, the last two games, is going to shut a lot of folk up this year. I thought when I first saw the team on Saturday, I was like, what the fuck? One striker, 5 at the back, and 1 attacking player on the bench. I was like, oh, God. And that really just emphasised the weakness we've got in the squad. But got there, scored 5 goals. Can't complain. The first half, as I've said, was a bit sloppy. I thought the midfield was weak. We lost our shape a wee bit in the first half. But second half shut me up because, I was moaning. It was good winding the big number 9 up. They had the strong kiddie up front for Elgin was good to watch. He was pulling and grabbing, and it was a sterner test than Queen's Park gave the 2 lads on Tuesday night. So, I'm enjoying it. I just think going forward, there's just, as you say, the shackles have come off, and there definitely seems to be a positiveness about the whole team.
I think the goals you referenced there, so Josh, the through ball for Rudi's goal, and that was I think Joe won the ball back, gave it to Josh. He's taken a touch and played the pass through for Rudi. It's like a couple of touches for us winning the ball back, and the ball's in the back of the net. And it was the same for Boyle's second goal. Queen's Park are actually attacking, and we win the ball back, and it's a couple of passes, and it's in the back of the net again. And it's just that night and day for last season where we were getting the ball, and then you could almost set your watch and say, like, we'll get 5 minutes, and we might get a cross in or a shot.
Yeah, it's back to the keeper first.
Aye. So it's just so refreshing and entertaining. But it meant we sort of kept our foot on the throat of the opponent the whole time. As well as sort of throughout the game. I agree with you against Elgin. I think that there was a wee spell after we scored the first goal where we sort of just were a wee bit sloppy until the second went in, and I thought after that we never really looked back. James, what you made of the 2 new centre halves, then, so O'Hora and Ekpitera, how have you assessed their performances so far?
Brilliant. There's not an inch of fat in the pair of them. I mean, Ekpitera is like the stick, but he's a tall laddie. And the thing I noticed with our set pieces, we got a goal from both games, is we've now got the taller players in the box. Whereas last year we didn't have that. Rocky was in there, but he was not head and shoulders above the opponent. But these 2 kiddies are heads and shoulders. They were a threat, and they're winning the ball. I can't pronounce that name. Marv will do it. He was winning at the far post, and they scored on Saturday. So there's definitely a height advantage.
Yep.
And the keeper as well was up for a couple of cross balls. I don't think we actually seen that from Marshall at all last year. Came out for a cross ball and cleanly took it.
Not often. Remember. Not often. He did do it, but few and far between.
Yeah. So height-wise, I mean, I think they're good players, and they're quite comfortable on the ball. There's no, when they have to just hoof it under pressure, that's fine. I don't care. Rose Zed's safest place to put the ball, but they look comfy on the ball when they're stroking it around and it's going side to side, and they will take a step forward. So I'm enjoying watching them play. I'm not a big fan of defenders. I'm more of a kind of striker up front. Go for the glory, usual. But it's still good to watch. It's nice to see him building a team from the back. I mean, that's 4 signings, and they're all defensive-mindedly. One's cover, a first-choice keeper, and 2 centre-halves. I still think we're maybe a wee bit light in there, especially if kind of Harbottle goes, and if Rocky, as he comes on, and it is going to be out of shape, the bigger teams will punish him. But if they two stay fit, I think it's a good pairing. A three with Rocky, that's a hell of a wall to get through.
And Miller's sort of been sort of playing on the right of that defensive setup as well. One of the things I noticed on Tuesday night, James, the game was sort of threatened at one point to get quite niggly. Like there was a few sort of hefty challenges going in. Hibs weren't bullied at all the way. We proper stood up to it, and we look like we've got a few players in there now that relish that sort of thing.
I always guarantee Miller to get involved in it. I do enjoy that. I think last year he was told to calm down. I think it was one of the bookings that were sending off at Dundee. For weeks after that, the boy wasn't the same. He just seemed to have gone in his shell, and we didn't see Miller just take somebody out. He sort of still won that in the game. Okay, you don't want him to get hurt. I'm not saying go out and break somebody's legs. And there's a couple of people, but for the most part,
I have a list.
That's so it's quite a long list, mostly Hearts players, but Rangers players. But the whistle had already gone, but he wasn't stopping going through that defender. And it gets booked, but that's a defender's life. It's just get in, don't back off. And I said the number 9 on Saturday was giving Marv and O'Hara a bit of a tough time. The arms were up, just pulling jerseys and all that.
Mm-hmm.
But they didn't shirk away from it. They were giving it his back. And I said Miller went through a couple of players on Saturday and Tuesday, and it gets the fans going. Gets the fans. I mean, it's old school football. I know that we've moved on, but it's still good to see your players getting stuck in because the fans will love you for it.
It's one of the things I always cited as a strength of David Grace as a player is that he knew instinctively when to just smash into a tackle to get the crowd going, or even get other players going. To get a bit of a Rami starting to get a bit of adrenaline going and just to lift the tempo of a game. So I've no problem with it. I quite like the thought of him sort of imparting that knowledge on the players in his charge now. Like to tell them to go out and just go and smash somebody, and like you say, you don't need to break a leg or anything like that. You just need to have a bit of a taste of challenge, get a few folks steaming in, a bit of pushing and shoving. Nothing serious. Nobody needs to get booked for it or that. But then all of a sudden you've got a game on your hands.
Yeah. You want to know they're there. I mean, you don't want Shankland that and just walks in and thinking he rules the place. First 5 minutes, the first thing I do is just give him one.
Aye.
Yeah.
Safest
that's a good thing. Rocky, Maria Welsh. That's what I've been saying. Maria Welsh, if he can learn just the nuances of Scottish football, become our shinny, avoid the bookings, but have a bit of dig. And Shankland's top of that list, as you probably gather.
I really like looking at Mariah Welsh. I think he's he seems to get really fast getting about the pitch. I think sometimes he could pick a better pass, or he really hammers passes at players as well. Obviously, that's what he'll be. The standard that he's come from is you'll be able to pass the ball hard to your teammate.
I think we saw that when we played last year between the two of them, and they were just warming up. They were just hammering the ball at each other, and when it came to them, they killed it dead. I mean, Boyle gets a lot of them thrown at him, low, hard passes, and some of the control over his shoulder on Tuesday night was nice to watch. And some of the long passes, Joe Newell put right onto his feet, onto his chest. It was just instant control and stuff like that. I love playing out wide. That's where I played. I love seeing a winger get the ball under like that and take players on. So having Molotnikov, Boyle taking players on is just that's dream football to me.
Aye. Kenny Whitson says they scored 2 goals from corners in 2 games from both centre halves. Never scored a goal from a corner last season. And iGolf J Tweetler said would still like Melida back or similar if the BK cash is there, make it happen. I wouldn't mind Melida back, but I think he's got designs above Hibs from what I've read. As if there is such a thing. John, I'll bring you in next year. I see you've sort of, because of the absence of other John, you now are no longer other John. And if he starts, he'll be other John, and you have now become first team John.
No, I'm just confused everybody. No. I will always be other John. No, it's a good couple of games. I thought there was certainly a development in how we played from Elgin through Tuesday night. I mean, first half of Elgin, it was a bit shaky. There was a couple of times where centre halves were looking at each other when the ball was played through, the one that was offside. I mean, it was a bit of a staring contest at the back. Again, you got to go through these things. The important thing that we've done in the game is score at the other end. I mean, we've taken all the pressure off ourselves by getting a couple of goals in the first half. controlling the game and allowing players just to sort of settle and express. I thought on Tuesday, delighted with the result, really disappointed with Queen's Park. I actually had to check that they were
Yeah.
a championship side. I mean, if I'm honest, I thought Callum Davidson coming back to Easter Road, the hoodoo that he had over us for a while when he was at St Johnstone, I was expecting an awful lot more from them. I don't want to overstate us. I mean, I think there's a better. We did our job. We were fast around the pitch. We moved the ball well. We had them running left to right all over the pitch. Good pairings. Naveen Molotnikov and a beater down the left-hand side. Miller and Boyle going down the right. I mean, the pairing were given space. Vente should have got an extra one on Saturday that headed at keeper and he should have had the 2 goals. Yeah, but he's scored 3 out of 6 really good chances so far, so hopefully he can keep that up for the rest of the season. But it's a good start. I think finishing the game with a striker on the pitch, as James mentioned, is something we need to sort.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there doesn't seem to be. I never saw enough of a corner last season in terms of where he is. I mean, he's not getting a chance. He's not seen the bench. That seems to be the place that we need to fix. I mean, because we don't want to be finishing games with midfielders having to fill in up top. Potentially you bring Boyle in and you put Ellie through the middle, but
Yeah.
again, they're being played in their strongest positions. I mean, which is the one big thumbs up you give to David Gray is that the players are in the pitch where they want to play and where they're comfortable. The Rocky coming on, it was that first ball through where Rocky tries to play offside that Marv doesn't. I mean, and there's 4 yards of difference between them. That's just going to take games. I mean, it's a new squad. I mean, I'm delighted how we've taken care of business in 2 games. Delighted at the approach. I mean, that's the 3rd time this season we've scored 5 goals. I mean, in terms of you going over the pre-season matches as well. Chelsea will now be, rather than in previous seasons where, we've got a good chance here, we've got a swing, we've got them at the home pitch. They'll still think they've got a chance because they're at home, it's an artificial pitch. But they won't be thinking that they're facing the Hibs of 2 years ago.
No.
I mean, that drew at Stirling Albion or lost to Falkirk. I mean, so those are the good things. But what I was going to mention tonight is I was conscious of sort of Marv's comments on the interview and sort of Marconde's, all about the idea of players coming at Hibs and just not realising the size.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and there's just a bit of me. The character clearly is going to be the important thing in the background. That's what everybody's telling us. That's what seems to be showing in terms of what's coming through. I smiled because I thought Marconde's talked about being a bigger club than he thought of, and the fact that Hibs had a bigger stadium than Bournemouth. And you're thinking, you must have lived a fairly closeted football in existence. I mean, not to have even thought in those terms, sort of coming up the road. So, I mean, and Marv was talking about players turning up who actually don't respect Scottish football and stuff like this. And I was thinking, is that Marconde's? I mean, is that what we sort of, in terms of my leader Marconde's last season, in terms of the quality you want to bring? But that's the credit I would probably give them, is that they're bringing in people who have been quite happy to carry the shot. They don't seem to have crumbled to any degree and are coming forward. But no, interested to see where we go with the number 9 or the other striker that we have to get alongside Benny. But curious in terms of how the character side of it is going to be driven.
I think it's a really good point, and it's essential that you've got folk coming in that respect the way that we have to play or we want to play. And David Gray's been kind of really consistent with his messaging about the expectation that you work hard. That's like almost first and foremost. So you have to have the attitude and the application right, and that's come across in the games that we've seen. That we've not seen anybody kind of come on and play for themselves. I mean, there was a guy had along for us on Tuesday night had sort of suggested that Yuan was a bit like that, but I didn't think Yuan did anything any different from any of the other players that were on. Not in a negative sense that he was playing for himself. I mean, he could have passed when he had that shot, but fuck it, we were 5-0 up or 4-0 up at the time, and like that's what we pay to go and see. Like you want to see a player that just dribble past two men and has got a shot on, take the shot. Like nobody's going to moan if that had gone in. It's one of the goals of the season already. So I don't think that's selfish play. I think it's not even like bad decision making. It's just that's entertainment, which we're all
He nearly
there for.
got the second. He nearly got the second cut back to Levitt, having already set him up for one.
Yeah,
I mean, there is that side. I mean, Jair clearly, I don't think has a future at Hibs going forward. Even his appearance at Elb with other players, I just wasn't convinced that the other players on the pitch were that interested in playing with him because they don't see him as having a future.
it's an interesting point as well, John. Ian, you get a hand up and bring in.
Yeah, a couple of things. It's we're all agreeing with each other, which is a bit strange. But as John, I must say that as far as loan players are concerned, that would be bottom of my priority list. Absolutely bottom. I agree with John that we need another striker up there, and if we did try to do it, then not signing Simon Murray. If we really tried to do that and failed, that's a major cock up by us. If we really tried and got beat by Dundee, it's embarrassing. It was funny what James was saying. James was mentioning Rocky's through ball. These ball right up the wing. And I must admit, on Tuesday night, I had to check back to say, was that Rocky? Right? Because I really did, because it was incredible. I mean, in fact, he did too. And that's something that, obviously, when I was speaking to Rocky at the Hibs first night, I actually said that to him. Make sure your first touch is forward. So he's obviously following that up. The point that James was making about Dejan Golding for Elgin, he's a good player. I mean, he came from I think he was at Cove Rangers, but he's a bit older. He's in the mid-20s, so he's actually a very good player. And the fact that we managed our centre halves managed to pretty much quiet him down completely. A couple of times we actually fouled him, which was actually quite good that we got away with it. And of course, as James said, he was mourning like hell, Elgin. But not only that, but Zach Rudden was playing for Queen's Park on Tuesday night, and he didn't get a sniff. It was really good. I mean, and he's a good player. I mean, he is a good player. And it was funny because I remember at the Edinburgh City game, they'd signed a new centre half, I think, from Bo'ness United. And you could see he was a good player, but we just played him out the game, we blew him away. So, I would say that I'm very, very impressed with our centre half so far. I really am. But I'm desperately sad the fact that if we did try and sign Simon Murray, and if we genuinely got beat on price, then I'll be horrified.
Well, I think we've got a comment from Kenny Whitson on the YouTube chat. So just pointing out that Murray lives in Dundee and he's a Dundee fan, so it's a bit of a no-brainer for him. So I don't know if I obviously wasn't party to the conversations. I don't know what was in Simon Murray's mind when he's making the decision, or how serious Hibs were about the interest. But definitely that would have been a factor in it. John, you mentioned about Queen's Park being really poor. And I agree with you, they were. How much of that do you think was having a bad night, and how much of it was just the fact that Hibs turned up?
I think they had what you call an off night, but I think that was exacerbated by us just moving the ball quite well. I mean, we're starting the game. There's a calmness. I mean, the ball is going across the back a bit to start. Players are finding their positions, but there's outlets on both sides. I mean, there was points where Queen's Park were trying to crush the pitch in half, and there was switch balls, and we eventually started picking those up. Venti was really good at splitting the centre halves, and I mean making them go down one side. The goalie got chased down a couple of times. Yeah, he could have been stronger with some of the goals that went in, but you got to take your chances. I mean, we were good performance, attitude was correct. We moved the ball well. We didn't give them the ball in positions to hurt us. They've had a couple of shots outside the area, I think, is all they've had in the game, other than the goal right at the end, which I pretty much, I don't know, is that Teddy Butcher's now we've got over losing a goal, we can forget about losing a goal type stuff. But doing it when you're 5-0 up is probably the way he meant it. But no, I think that we did everything we should. They played like a team that were Division 1 rather than Championship. Would be how I'd put it. And the fact that they were bottom of the Championship last year played through. I don't know whether they play slightly different with Rudi Payton, who had moved on. Maybe he gave them a bit more mobility and pace up top that they didn't have with Rudden. Because again, I mean, Rudden was okay at Dundee, but not brilliant last season.
Yeah. It was interesting watching David Gray on the touchline. So like I said earlier, we were right behind the dugout, so close enough to hear the shouts, and it was faster, go forward. We were like the sort of the same messages. It was kind of really on at the players, but in a positive way, very kind of clear with what he was asking them to do. And he kind of contrasted that with Callum Davidson, who I think he just shouted at one point, "Fucking forward." Don't let him turn. Don't let him turn. And it was quite entertaining seeing him having a strop at Easter Road for a change instead of kind of just setting up to kill the game and then going away with the point. So, Rudi, Callum.
I heard his interview afterwards, and again, it was one of those where by the end of it, he's saying, "Oh yeah, I'm just after the game. I'll probably look over it, and this is what players have to go to if they want to get here." But it was hard on these players to start with, but I suspect it was just they failed in the running around hard bit in terms of what he saw. But again, we take it. I mean, we've had too many instances where we've been scraping 1-1 draws at home. Was it Hamilton the last time? I mean, all that sort of level of debacle. We've dealt with that sort of stuff. We've not the 5-0 victory in the first game hasn't been the jinx that some thought it would be, because we've followed it up. I haven't found a time when we've scored 5 goals in successive games. I mean,
2018 Kilmarnock at Easter Road and then Rangers at Easter Road. 5-3 and 5-5.
I didn't realise they were successive games.
I think they were actually, they were definitely successive home games. So I think there were successive games. Maybe somebody can correct me, but on one of the group chats wherein somebody had asked that question, and the Premier Sports commentator said it was 2018, and I think 2018 we only scored 5 goals. Well, we definitely scored 5 goals in games close to each other, which was the 5-3 and the 5-5.
You've got the European games as well. The two tennis scores 6-4 and 6-1 or something like that.
Right enough. When was that?
Oh, you mentioned it on Premier Sports. I think it's 2020. I think it's just before COVID. 2019.
More recent than 2018.
About the same time.
Yeah, right. I'm going to go through some talking points for Thursday. Just get your from Tuesday, and get your views on it. Let's get to the start of them. I bookmarked this earlier, so I'd be ready for it, and Twitter just goes and moves things around, Eric. So, Belden Lascar, first point says a .NET Classic, but the Seagulls, what we're going to do about the Seagulls at Easter Road, we're all going to have to start bringing Peregrine Falcons to the game with us. Yeah, we'll take that, Ian.
I want to come in there. So, the Seagulls, I mean, I'm in the East Stand, and I've been in the East Stand for ages. I want to make it clear, and it's really funny, all the people around me are going like, there's quite a lot of people that obviously didn't know the games. And they're all like that. And it was just hilarious because the Seagulls only arrive when there's no sound. When there's no noise, the Seagulls come, because the Seagulls think the match is finished and they'll go and pick up all the pies that people have dropped. So it's because we weren't making any sound. But that was the lowest I've ever seen them swooping.
I thought we had Alfred Hitchcock sitting up at the back of the stand, pissing himself, laughing at it. It was like, I've shown them. And also there was there's a pet peeves thread on Hibs.net on the dugout forum, and one of the pet peeves after it was somebody saying about folk calling them seagulls when there's no such thing. They're just gulls apparently. So if you're pedantic about birds. And Ian, I referred to David Gray as a manager earlier on as well, and I'm glad you let it slip. He is, of course, the head coach.
Colin said it about 6 times on his BBC interview.
We just have to get Campbell back and get him picking balls up in the air till he just knocks them all out.
Aye, could do that.
He did that at Raith Rovers, didn't he?
It was Dunfermline, wasn't it?
Was it Dunfermline?
Aye, hit one at East End Park. I mean, it's definitely an option, isn't it? I thought we were just so good that they were coming in just to watch the game.
Was
They've just taken advantage. It's a nice night. They've not got
Ben,
Premier Sports
Ben,
because they're girls, so they just kind of
Ben,
sneaked in.
Sorry,
Ben,
John, was that Jordan Foster did that?
Alan Booth.
I thought it was Callum Booth.
Yeah.
Did you? All right, okay, all right. I
Um,
remember Jordan. I think it was Jordan Foster. The Dunfermline keepers had his water bottle behind the goals. It might have been Jordan Foster actually deliberately kicked it away. He went behind the goals and kicked his water bottle. I always remember that.
there was a couple of players did that at Cowdenbeath as well. I can't remember if it was a friendly maybe there. No, it was against Wraith. It was the Cowdenbeath. It was at Starks Park where they did it. They went and moved the goalie's water bottle. The goalie turned around, so it was a nice night as well. Kind of turned around halfway through the second half, went to get a drink. I was like, "Oh, fuck's my water bottle."
Right. You're right. It was Kirkcaldy. You're right. It was Kirkcaldy. It wasn't Dunfermline. You're right. You're right.
Hibs Pessimist said Hibs doing the simple things well when playing football with real intent and purpose compared to the dull and ineffective style of last season. Boyle looks really up for it so far.
Yeah.
Tracy, Martin Boyle
Yes.
on Tuesday night and a goal again on Saturday against Elgin. Is he back to his best?
Yeah, I think we'll see Martin Boyle that we know and love this season. I think he'll just love playing it, under Dave, and he seems happy. He seems Martin Boyle smiling and scoring goals is just what we want. I think he'd be a threat again because I feel for the last kind of season and a half, 2 seasons maybe. He's kind of obviously dropped a bit, but that's just through injury, and it can have a real effect on you when it's a repeat injury and whatnot, and having to go through surgery. And so yeah, I think Martin Boyle's back, and I think obviously the kind of responsibility he's getting as well is really helping him.
Yeah, I think that's a key thing. He sort of realised that he has to step up, but I think tactics suit him as well. Now,
Although, did you see his daddy take care the other day?
No.
I'm not quite sure the responsibility. I feel for Rachel, that's all I'm saying coming home to that.
I'll not ask any more about that. Right. Jeff Ashton, hiya Jeff, said a proper sea change in our approach to games. Intensity, forward thinking, making space and being more direct. Shows what could have been last season. No duds tonight. Rudi looked a real prospect. Boyle back to his normal self. Cautiously optimistic. James, do you think it's right to be cautiously optimistic, or can we go the full hog and just be full on balls out optimistic?
I'm already booking a suite at Hampden for the final, man. I'm getting balls out.
Told you.
Tracy said it weeks ago. Yeah. So she can jinx that one as well. Sorry.
Jinx all cups available.
I'm a football fan. I'm just going for it. I just want to see us playing well and enjoying it. If it comes apart at the quarterfinals, so be it. But we'll be there. We'll give it our best go. Just go for it. But yeah, we'll see what happens once we get St Mirren. I think that'll be the true test. Let's see what a proper league game's like.
Yeah.
And Celtic will take care of itself, and then after that, it's just bring it on.
See what happens.
If my husband could go home unhappy at the Celtic game, be very happy. Even a draw would be good, but I don't know.
We'll see what we can do for you.
I'm quite confident already.
Well, Stuart said the most entertaining game at Easter Road for a long time. And I think it was like that. I can't remember the last time I enjoyed a game quite so much. We were talking. It was actually I'll not name them. But one of the Hibs staff had commented, when was the last time there was no booze at half time at Easter Road? And then we were like, probably the Motherwell game just at the end of last season. So we didn't actually have to go that far back, but it's amazing how quickly you forget the good times because of how dull last season was and how many times we got to half time last season where there was all booze and discontent. And I mean, there was one game where they were booing folk coming the team back out for the second half. Like that's how chronic it was, and it was night and day for that on Tuesday. Neil Waters said players wanting to play forward early and with purpose, wanting to take men on and get shots away and crosses into the box. Lots of positive signs. Rudi again, terrific performance, and Boyle looking hungry for goals too. John, what did you make of Rudi Molotnikov?
I've been really impressed. I mean, he sits in what would be an old inside left position. He seems to take up his sort of that pain in the backside for both the midfielders and the defenders because he's playing in that half position. Already seems to have a bit of a relationship with Abita. Strong in terms of body shape for someone who's quite so young. I mean, he's clearly going to still have a lot of development to do in that side. Competes well, control is good. The heads up, I mean, the slide ball that he put in for Boyle, let me cut it back for the first goal against Elgin, just shows you that there's a footballer there. But he worked for the team. I mean, I'm up in the east, so that first half you're watching, yeah, they were playing properly in terms of how they were triggering in terms of the prices and stuff like this. So there's an intelligence there. No, he doesn't look out of place in any way at all. I mean, and the sort of player, will there be a point where his form may drop off? Yes, but I think there's enough heads in the background, I mean, that will give him the space to sort of go back in, reset, and come again. But not really chuffed that he's in there. And the goal, I never thought he was missing it. Then winning the ball back in the halfway line, 2 passes and it's through, and he just sat the goalie down on his backside and put it past him. It was brilliant to see.
Yeah, calm as you like, eh? Andy Gearson said positives all over the place. Unbelievably, it's been far too often we've struggled to see these teams away. Only one player looked uncomfortable last night and should be nowhere near the first team. Doesn't go on to say who that player was. Bangers and Mash said, how long before Molotnikov is getting touted in the Daily Record to the infirm? I suppose that will be the next thing. It'll be a sort of, he's a couple of games away from being touted to somebody else. I hope Hibs have got him down on a decent contract, Ian.
Yeah, I think we signed him. Well, I think he was only on a signed a 2-year contract in 2022. I don't know if he signed a new one, but I remember when he signed. I think obviously Lee Johnson's a genius because he saw Molotnikov. I mean, I remember when he came on against Aston Villa, and I was really pleased because I immediately looked up my Wikipedia. I was like, who the hell is this? But I mean, it's. I think the great thing is that Molotnikov is a classic case for saying we should not be signing loan players to keep players like him out. So we've got to give the youngsters a chance. David Gray's made it clear that he's happy to work with the players we've got. He's probably got a list, probably I think quite a small list. He's given Malky what he wants, but I think Rudi's been great. I mean, he's refreshing. But I still see the same in Megwa. Megwa to me is a great player, right? And Megwa's been with Hibs forever. So same with Molotnikov. So to have young players like that coming through is terrific. So I'd love to see more young players like that. And I don't want to bring in loan players who who enable us. Who make us send our players to Airdrie. Much as Airdrie's been good for Megwa, obviously, but he's been great. So I don't want to lose players like Molotnikov and Megwa to loans.
Paul Sutherland seems to have signed a 3-year deal in August last year.
Thank you.
I would still extend it on the basis of one of the big games. Paul Sutherland said, what's with the change in dugouts? Hibs now taking the dugout at the home end of the ground, delighted to get out of the stadium without being shat on. I think that metaphorically and literally with the amount of goals there and the potential for the banana skin with the fixture. Did anybody notice the change in the dugouts and anyone have a view on it?
I noticed it immediately. I put it on my Facebook immediately. And two supporters who were not part of the massive 4,995 crowd, 2 of them noticed my post immediately, 2 of my friends, Hibbies. But I noticed that right away, and I knew it'd be something like David Gray said it was, which is to just change it for the sake of it, you know.
Well, apparently it was didn't want to have the opposition players running up and down past them when he's watching the game, so they'll stay on that side and we'll go up this side. I think it was.
Was the thinking in the past that before we had the 4th official, you swapped it so that you got in the ear of the lines?
Correct.
Or the assistant referee.
That was the chat, yeah.
but you've now got the fourth official standing there, so you don't need to have the linesman's more often going to be down the line, so you've always got somebody to shout at the fourth official if you really want it.
Fourth official. Tell him that's a shite decision.
I think David Grace, he did say everything we do comes from that side, because that's the side the dressing rooms are on. That's where our players warm up.
Yeah,
it just makes more sense. Did MD notice the floodlights though?
Yeah, floodlights were better as well.
New ones on the roof.
I didn't look directly at them. I wasn't daft enough to do that and leave myself dazzled for 2 minutes afterwards.
And they came on earlier as well. They came on.
Yeah, there's no that 50p moment in the game, was there?
No. Right, last one, last talking point for the night, and then we'll wrap up. Is from Paul Clitheroe, who said, really positive start to the season, hopefully more of the same on Saturday against Kelty. A new ground for me to visit as well. I noticed a big difference in the style of play already. It's quicker and not as predictable as under Monty. We seem to mix it up more now, even going long. And there was no complaints with going long. You know, you have this, there's this perception that Hibs fans will not accept, a long ball style of football. Actually, when we did go long on Tuesday, it resulted in an attack, and folk were really receptive to it. So, does anybody have an issue with mixing up? I think it's a good thing and a bad thing.
Always good.
And the goalie from the corner was good as well, wasn't he? The put Boiler through.
Mm-hmm.
Aye, that was really good.
The key thing, if you remember, I said this to Lee Johnson, is that we're always playing at the wings all the time. And if you remember, Lee Johnson actually said the players decide to do that. The players take the easy option. I mean, my God. Anyway, but the great thing is we've now got options, because Josh Campbell always goes through the middle, always, which is great. So we've got straight up players. If Gavin's watching this, Gavin will be happy about that. But yeah, the long ball game that drops a perfect pass just in front of somebody who's up and can get to the byline and cut it back is terrific.
Good stuff, right? That was as positive as we've been for for as long as I can, since we started doing the forehands. Very quickly, I'll go around the room and get a score for Saturday. Tracy?
4-0.
Right, 4-0 to Hibs.
To Hibs, obviously. But see, you shouldn't have asked me.
All right, aye. In case we get 5 now, so how daft will you look? James, what about you?
They've got Hearts in the title, so I'm going for a 6.
All right, Ian.
I think it'll be 2-2. I've got a penalty shootout. Scott Allen will miss his penalty just like he did at the weekend.
Yes, and John, last word to you.
That's 37-0, wasn't it? An away tie against the Hearts.
Go for it. Okay, right, thanks everybody for jumping on tonight. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thanks. Thanks everybody who supported us over the last 5 years as well, which I wanted to say. Without everybody kind of tuning in and sharing stuff on Twitter and commenting and telling their pals about it, we would never have lasted this long. So it is hugely appreciated. We probably can't convey that strongly enough. So thanks for tuning in, and we will see you next time.